prior chair of the Chamber, and I'm also the owner of Dean & Associates. I do healthcare strategy and implementation of healthcare programs. I'd like to ask everyone, if you haven't already done so, to silence your cell phone. I want to thank you for joining us here at the Event Center and helping us continue our programs live and in person. It feels so good to see each of you. I almost wanted to just reach out and hug Roger. I hadn't seen him for so long. So thank you for being here with all of you and making it an event happen. And I do apologize if my voice isn't carrying right. It's a little unusual with a mask and a microphone. We're happy that we're going to take a moment to review the names of the executive partners that are displayed up above me. I'm so used to doing Vanna from when I was chair, you know, when they were all behind me, and now they're up. So if you take a moment to help me express appreciation with some applause for our executive members. Those partners are the ones that go above and beyond their membership general dues, and they do that at 4 executive partnership tier levels. So they are the critical foundation for advocacy efforts and the overall success of the Fairbanks Chamber of Commerce. Let's take a moment to show them appreciation. I also would like to give a big thank you to GCI, not only for powering our virtual presentations that we did in the first half of this year, but for being our sponsor today for the 2021 Diversity and Inclusion, actually for the entire series that we're going to continue today. Thank you, GCI. And now I'd like to invite Derek Dickerson up to lead us in the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Dear God, we thank you for today. We thank you for the chance to gather. We ask your blessing on this food. Lord, we're just grateful for the work of the Chamber, all that the employees and the volunteers do to help this community. Lord, we do ask that you would open our ears to what the speakers have to share with us. Lord, we're thankful for those who come alongside those and who face challenges in employment and just come alongside and help. And we just thank you for that work. Help us to be open to helping others in any way we can. We just ask your blessing on our lives. In the name of Jesus, amen. Join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Derek, and thank you, Derek, also for helping us kick off our live meetings and providing an event location for us to do that in August. We really appreciate that. So I am filling in for Angie today, and I'm going to give you an overview of the board chair report. And I'd like to start by thanking you each for wearing your masks today, except when you're not eating or drinking. The Chamber's Board of Directors voted yesterday to require masks at all Chamber events, and this will include going forward luncheons, committee meetings, and other Chamber public activities for the foreseeable future. This would include if we are doing ribbon cuttings or other event coverage. You know, it's a challenge for all of us to wear the mask, but the masks mean that we can come together in person and actually have social engagement, which I don't know about you, but I sure missed that all of 2020, and the mask is a small price to pay to be able to see each of you and enjoy our time together today. We just went from the transition of not wearing our mask back to this decision yesterday, and what that's going to do for us and the focus of the Board of Directors was to keep us in a zone where we're safe for personal health and safety, and we'll be able to continue to meet in person. So please help us stay on track and keep the community safe, not only by wearing your mask at chamber activity, but by wearing your mask in the community and getting vaccinated. Another point that I wanted to make to you about community opportunity is your opportunity to vote early. For those of you who don't know, you can avoid the lines on October the 5th by going to vote early at the Shoppers Forum location. They have a voting system set up there. I did it this morning. It was relatively quick, painless, and it's off of my to-do list, so I encourage you to do that as well. Now for an update from our committees. Yesterday, the Government Relations Committee received a behind-the-scenes tour of the UAF Museum of the North, along with our Interior Delegation representatives. It was a fantastic glimpse into the research that the university's doing. It was an adventure, and I felt like an explorer. Being down in that sub-level area, we learned yesterday there are 2.5 million artifacts stored under the museum. And we had the prime opportunity yesterday to explore the various areas of those artifacts, and it was truly, truly a wonderful experience. So we are appreciative to Pat Druckenmeier for setting that up and giving us the tour, and we encourage you to go to the university and recognize that our local museum is the museum for the entire university system, and it's very well recognized not only on a national level for what we hold for cultural artifacts for Alaska, but also internationally. So please visit the museum when you have a chance. The Government Relations Committee today, this morning, launched a very in-depth discussion to begin to explore how the Chamber can interact and interface to help local businesses with the challenges with staffing shortages and with the supply chain difficulties, which are going hand in hand and creating, in some cases, a tapestry of despair for business. So you'll be hearing more from us about that. And the committee has also been working on other issues related to economic recovery. Most recently, GRC heard from Senator Begg's Chief of Staff about the Senator's Bill SB 3002 on the subject of corporate taxes. If you're curious about that, go online and search SB 3002, and we're going to be following that bill and continuing to track it. Our Energy and Environment and Natural Resources Committee heard from Joe Baelish from the Alaska Oral Search about their new PICA project and the new prospects on the North Slope. And the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee heard from Borough Mayor Bryce Ward and Representative Grier Hopkins about the Governor's Broadband Task Force and their process. And that can't come soon enough for us to get a really good broadband system. As you can tell, our committees are continuing to monitor important issues for the region, and I would encourage you to consider joining one of the committees in the upcoming year to add your voice to these in-depth discussions. Now, please welcome Janelle for her President and CEO report. Janelle?
Didn't realize the step was on the other side. All right. Well, yeah, I'll just add my voice to saying thank you for being here and for helping us keep these events moving along. A couple of announcements from my end. So our Board of Directors elections are scheduled to open next Monday, and that'll be open for 2 weeks, the online voting. So the primary contact from any member organization of the Chamber, your primary contact will receive the link and the instructions of how to conduct that voting. So if the primary contact on your account is not who you would like to actually vote on behalf of your organization, just be sure to contact the office and we'll issue that voting link to the correct person. A couple of other things, if you missed the Borough Assembly political forum that we held, that recording is now available on our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. And someone did point out that it is not obvious inherently on our website how to find our YouTube channel. So I will just share that if you go to YouTube and search for Fairbanks Chamber, that's the name of our YouTube channel is Fairbanks Chamber, and you'll see our logo will pop up. You can click on the logo to find our entire channel. All right, a couple of other things that we just wanted to let people know had happened recently. Last week we held the United Way campaign kickoff as our luncheon. That was definitely a success. They ended up raising $5,000 for the cause, and that was matched by Kinross Fort Knox for a total of $10,000 in one day. So that was a huge contribution that our community was able to make to the United Way. So yeah, definitely thank you for that. And speaking of Kinross, so we were involved in the ribbon cutting for the groundbreaking at their Gill mine. So that was also an exciting new thing that's happening and bringing more opportunities to our region. All right, so any of these things that I have mentioned, you can find more information on our social media sites as well as at fairbankschamber.org. And I'm going to add one quick thing to the script, which we missed, which is I'm going to ask Katie to come up and welcome our new and renewing members.
Sorry, everyone. While Janelle was out of town last week, we shifted the script and forgot to shift it back. So I just would like to give a big welcome to our newest chamber members, and they are Callahan Construction Company. They are a general contractor providing highly efficient and specialized construction, design, engineering, management, and execution services to the most demanding clients in the state of Alaska. Also, Cross Country Mortgage. They are a nationwide mortgage company with a large catalog of loan products, including but not limited to VA, FHA, USDA, Fannie Mae, and Freddie Mac. Thank you both for joining the Chamber. We look forward to engaging with your organizations. Thank you also to our following renewing members the past week: Omni Logistics, Inc., Mechanical Contractors of Fairbanks, Kids Closet Connection, Walgreens, Image Optical, SCORE, Mike Prax, Family Centered Services of Alaska, and the Boys and Girls Clubs of Fairbanks. Thank you all for your continued support of the Fairbanks Chamber. And finally, a special thank you to our renewing members that joined the 110% Club. They are Chevrolet GMC Buick of Fairbanks, Madden Real Estate, Riverboat Discovery, Great Land River Tours, Interior Community Health Center, and James Little. These members have contributed above and beyond their membership dues to help support the Chamber's advocacy work. We are grateful for your continued support, and thank you all for being here today. Back to you, Rebecca.
Katie, thank you for that really positive report. That indicates to me that we're getting back to business again, so thank you for the report. On the fourth Tuesday of each month, our weekly business presentation addresses topics that explain how or why businesses can become more inclusive of diversity and perspectives and populations, and today's no different. Today we'll be learning from Lisa Larson from the State of Alaska Division of Vocational Rehab on how they assist Alaskans with disabilities and assist Alaskan employers. Lisa Larson has lived here in Fairbanks since 1980, graduating from West Valley High School in 1991 and the University of Alaska Fairbanks in 2015. During her 20-plus year gap between high school and college, she stayed home, raised her 4 children who are now 20, 22, 24, and 26. And Lisa, I'm sorry, but I just have to say that amazes me because I remember you so long ago as in those early years. So congratulations on those 4 children. During this time, she also worked part-time for 17 years at Team Cutters as a hairdresser and esthetician. Her time in the beauty industry helped her realize that she wanted to help people on an even deeper level, and so she went back to college in 2011. She earned her bachelor's degree in social work and a master's degree in rehabilitation counseling. She currently works as a certified rehabilitation counselor for the state of Alaska Division of Voc Rehabilitation, helping people with disabilities identify and overcome their barriers to employment. Lisa feels that DVR is Fairbanks' best-kept secret for the local employers in experiencing Alaska's work with those with disabilities. She's excited to get the word out today. Thank you, Lisa, for joining us, and please welcome to the podium.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Well, the first thing I'm noticing is I forgot my reading glasses. So if you see my really long arms, that's why. So you'll see on your tables today that I left some information for you. Feel free to take with you anything that interests you and just leave what doesn't. You'll find a couple of National Employer Disability Awareness pins on your table. Those can go with you today. That starts in October, and so this is just the perfect timing for me to introduce DVR to those of you that are not familiar with DVR. That starts in October and is for the entire month. It's a great time to collaborate and get engaged with DVR. Also, you'll find some business cards of mine on the table. Feel free to take those with you. There's some resources for employers and also resources for individuals with disabilities. So there's some flyers there. Again, take what might be helpful to you or someone you know. So I'd like to begin today's presentation by asking two questions. First, are you an individual that has a health condition that when you're at work you feel like it's hard to do your job because of your health condition? Or is somebody in your life, have you heard them say, I'm struggling at work because of this illness that I have or this disability that I have, and nobody understands and I'm afraid of losing my job? So that's my first question. My second question is, are you a hiring manager at an agency that struggles with retaining employees or hiring new employees? You know, I know there's a lot of turnover right now. A lot of employers are having trouble with recruitment. And the challenges that are faced with posting leads, waiting for a week, interviewing a bunch of people, trying to pick the best person, that's super time consuming, right? So if you're one of those people, then this may be a great presentation for you, because the unique thing about DVR is we don't just work with Alaskans with disabilities, we also work with employers in helping you guys overcome the challenges you're facing with excuse me, with hiring new employees and keeping employees. Next slide. Oh, wait, I think you're on the right slide. That's perfect. Okay, so DVR's mission and principles. Our mission is to assist individuals with disabilities to obtain and maintain employment. I'd just like to give a brief summary of our 6 guiding principles, and they include all of the following: the empowering value of employment in an individual's life, honoring and respecting individuality, building strong community partnerships, delivering high-quality vocational rehabilitation services by employing and developing highly skilled staff, and good stewardship in the use of public resources. So we use these principles and our mission in combination with informed choice to give the best service we can to our clients and our employers. One way to think of informed choice is to imagine that you're the driver of the bus. You determine the destination and you determine the speed. But your DVR counseling team, that's me and the people that I work with, we're sitting beside you, helping you navigate. You know, there's multiple routes to take to get from point A to B to C to D, and our agency helps you determine which path is best for you. So that's an example I like to share of informed choice. Next slide, please. So this slide talks about the 3 things that are required to be eligible for DVR services. You must have an impairment or a health condition that's permanent. So not a broken leg, right? Because that, in all expectation, would heal. but something that's permanent, that is either a physical, a mental, or a cognitive impairment or health condition. So some examples of things that might affect your physical health at work could be arthritis, multiple sclerosis, blindness, deafness. So those are some examples of physical impairments. Mental health impairment would be post-traumatic stress, anxiety, depression. And then cognitive health impairment might be a learning or developmental disability or a brain injury. So this is not an exhaustive list, right? These are just some examples. So in addition to having one of those impairments, the impairment must present a substantial impediment to employment. So if the health condition that you have in no way affects your ability to do your job, you would not be eligible for DVR services. But if it does, then you now meet 2 of the 3 required categories, and then the third is that VR services are needed. And these services would be needed to help you prepare for or secure or retain employment. And the services must be consistent with the individual's strengths, abilities, and limitations. So we're not in the business of just sending employers warm bodies. We're in the business of finding employers and finding our clients who are good matches with their interests, their abilities, their ability to learn, retain. And then we also acknowledge that some people have limitations, and how do we overcome those limitations? Because we don't want to send people to our employers that in a few months are going to leave the job because they can't do the job, right? We want to set them up for success. So that's part of what we do. Remember also that if you are stable in your job, but your disability prevents you from advancing in employment, that also is a qualifying reason to come see us at DVR. So I'm kind of speaking from 2 perspectives today, right? I want to address anybody in the room that has a disability that's making it difficult for them to work, or maybe a loved one, but then I also want to address that many of you are business owners, employers, hiring managers, and so we want to think about this from both perspectives. Next slide, please. So the DVR process. It starts with an orientation, application, and intake. Orientations used to be in person, but as a result of COVID, and like many things in the community, we now have the opportunity to do our orientations online for individuals that prefer to not meet face-to-face. Our in-person orientations are every Wednesday from 9 to 10, and no appointment is necessary. It takes about an hour. After orientation, you complete an application. You have an intake with your vocational rehabilitation counselor. That appointment usually takes a week or so to make. It takes about an hour. And then we begin the eligibility, evaluating your eligibility. That process can take up to 60 days. We have to get a bunch of medical records, review them, make sure that there's evidence in the records to substantiate that you have a disability that impacts your ability to work. After we've determined that you're eligible, we have several meetings to develop your individualized plan for employment. That process can take 90 days. It includes vocational evaluation, work experiences, job shadowing, investigative interviewing of employers to learn what different types of jobs are out there that might appeal to you. And then once you're in a plan, we provide the services that we agree on, with the client for the plan. After the client gets employment, or if the client's already employed, after we determine that they're now stable, we've provided services to increase stability in employment. 90 days after that, we close your case successfully. Next slide, please. These are some examples of free services that are offered to all of our clients at DVR regardless of income. I'll just mention them briefly, and I can actually see this TV screen better than my little copy here on my paper, so I'm just going to look at that. That's how you know I have kids in their 20s. I cannot see without reading glasses. So counseling, guidance, referrals to other agencies. You know, we're not, what's that saying? We're jack of all trades, masters of none, right? And so we have a lot of things that we dabble in that we know a little bit about, and it mostly involves getting people pointed in the right direction to access the high quality services that they need in the community. So that referrals to other agencies is where that comes in. Medical exams, tests or tools to better understand your talents. That's that vocational evaluation I was telling you about. on-the-job training, community assessments. That's kind of like a job tryout. We have a lot of employers in the community that let our folks work for them for up to 3 weeks full-time to kind of try out a job and see if they like it. And often that results in, at the end of that assessment, the employer saying, hey, this worked out really well. Would this person like a job? So that's pretty cool. Disability-related skills training, job search and job placement. We help folks write resumes. We do mock interviewing. Accommodations on the job. Oftentimes employees just need some sort of assistance to complete the job task. Sometimes it might say in a job description that an essential function of the job is lifting a box over your shoulder, right? Well, in reality, the essential function is for the box to arrive at this location, right? The essential function is not that the human being needs to physically lift it. And so part of what DVR does is figure out other ways for that box to get over their shoulder if that person can't lift. So we help you navigate that. And then post-employment assistance. This is great for folks who are already employed and maybe need some support disclosing their disability to their employer and requesting some of those accommodations and advocating for themselves. So those are our free services. Next slide, please. Now, these are services that DVR clients may help pay for. So we serve all individuals who are eligible, and your finances do not determine if you're eligible or not. However, we do have a financial bar that our clients need to fall below for us to be able to pay for some services. And so if your financial situation is above that line, you may need to pay for some of these services. But we have a flexible program and are super negotiable with folks, and so we can really look at what is their income, what are their expenses, what is reasonable for them to help pay for. And so these are some of those services that folks might help pay for if they don't meet our financial guidelines. Next slide, please. So these are some resources. I did put a couple copies of this on each of your tables, although I didn't put enough for everybody just because I wasn't sure how many people were coming today. So if you'd like to take it home with you, please do. If there isn't any left on your table to take home, maybe take a picture of it with your phone or take my business card, and I would be happy to email you your own copy of these resources. So that's the ADVR website. The next one is the ADVR Employer Services link. The third is our offices statewide, and then the fourth, no charge for this bedtime reading, the Code of Federal Regulations. If you can't sleep, bust that baby out. Next slide, please. So the second part of my presentation today is about our Business Engagement Services team, also known as BEST. So I'm going to just hit this 100 more times. We're a big fan of calling ourselves the BEST team. Works out well. So our motto and mission with the BEST team is helping your business hire great employees. Next slide, please. So the mission of the BEST team is to meet the workforce needs of Alaska businesses and improve employment outcomes for individuals with disabilities. And it is a part of DVR, of the Vocational Rehabilitation Office where I work. BEST is not a separate agency or company. This is just a little, kind of like a committee within our program. Next slide, please. So BEST was created to honor WIOA. WIOA stands for the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. This program was developed jointly by the U.S. Department of Education and the Department of Labor. And the point of WIOA was to be creative and innovative in how we can work together, our agency and agencies like ours, in supporting both employers and job seekers. Next slide, please. So we on BEST offer services to our dual customers. And so by that, I mean we offer services to Alaskans with disabilities, and we offer services to employers. And so this is not an exclusive list of everything that we do, but it's some of the most popular things that we do. And on the left, you'll see those are our services that we offer Alaskans with disabilities, and on the right are the services we offer employers. So there was a couple I wanted to mention course, I can't see this, but I know on there, the slide somewhere, talks about disability awareness and sensitivity training. So on the BEST team, we have been trained in a nationally recognized program called Windmills. And Windmills is a series of 12 modules. Each module is about an hour long and has a slightly different topic, but each one revolves around how to make your workplace more inclusive, more diverse, more disability-friendly, improve etiquette and communication among your colleagues and coworkers and staff that have disabilities. And so Windmills is a service that we offer. Windmills training is a service that we offer at no charge to every employer in the community, whether you're working with one of our clients or not. So I encourage you to take my business card if you think you might be interested and reach out to me, and let's schedule a time where we can look over the modules and see which modules might be helpful for your business, and I'd be happy to come present. I know a lot of agencies are not doing in-person presentations right now, which is fine. We've modified Windmills to be completely virtual, so I can do it either in person or virtually. In fact, I was telling Rebecca at the beginning of this meeting that 2 years ago when this COVID stuff all started, I was all up in arms about having to do all my presentations and meetings and stuff by Zoom, and it was just never going to work. And now here we are, it worked beautifully because we're resilient and resourceful. And today is my first in-person meeting, and I am shaking in my boots. Like, I have totally adjusted to, that's why I forgot my reading glasses. They're on my computer desk because, I have them for my computer, right? So, I got off topic, but bottom line is change is a brewing, and I can do Windmills in person if you're comfortable with that. I can do Windmills online if you're comfortable with that. I would just really like to get this training out to the community. So please do me the honor of presenting this information to your colleagues and your agency. So one thing I wanted to talk about before we change the slides is just a little bit about stigma and assumptions. So I challenge you to not judge someone's ability to do their job by the name of their disability. The way people experience disability varies wildly from person to person. And I have an example to share. And if any of you were at the meeting, the Chamber of Commerce meeting that I did 4 years ago, I used the exact same example, but I just haven't been able to come up with anything that, that clarifies it as well. So forgive me if you've heard this example before. But imagine you have two individuals, both of them lose their hand in a hunting accident. Okay, one of them is a history professor. The other one is a concert pianist. Do you think that both of these individuals experience the loss of their hand the same way? Probably not, right? The person who's a history professor is going to have a total different experience trying to do their job with one hand than the person who's a concert pianist. And so I just encourage you to not assume that if somebody has a disability that you know of because they either disclosed it to you or because you can see it, that you assume, oh, this person's in a wheelchair. I know someone in a wheelchair, so they're not going to be able to do this or that or the third thing, because disabilities impact everybody differently. So I just wanted to put in that little plug for reducing stigma and assumptions. That said, people with disabilities can be super resourceful in figuring out alternative ways to complete their job task. So I just, again, encourage you to think about individuals' abilities, not their disabilities, when you're considering them for employment. Let's see, let's just keep it right there for a minute. The other thing I wanted to mention was Job X. I think some of you may already have participated in some Job X meetings occasionally. Job X meetings are bi-weekly. They're virtual. We meet every other Tuesday at 10, so our last meeting was today at 10. It's a meeting with employers, hiring managers, and employment specialists. This group is not for job seekers. This is a group for employment professionals who want to network and talk about hiring and retention challenges and have an opportunity to speak about their vacancies and get the word out. We have a different guest speaker each week from a different business. They discuss their work culture, their vacancies, their hiring and retention successes and challenges. It's a great opportunity to network with other businesses and advertise your vacancies. So contact me. Feel free to take that business card I was telling you about, and I think I do have a couple more of those today if there's not enough to go around. If you would like to be a guest presenter at Job X, I think we're booking into November right now and possibly December. But what a JobX presentation looks like is 20 to 30 minutes of your time. I send you an outline of the things that we'd like to learn about your business at JobX, and you can use that outline or not if it doesn't really appeal to your business. You would talk about your business for 15 or 20 minutes. We would all listen, and then at the end of 15 or 20 minutes, we have an opportunity to ask you some questions to learn more about your business. So I'm always looking for new participants in JobX. Not only can you participate as a guest speaker, but you could also stay on the mailing list and come as often as you like. There's no expectation to come to every meeting, but if you wanted to come quarterly and pop in and announce your job announcements, that would be great. It's an open form meeting, so it is by invite only, but you can come and go as you please. There's no expectation to come every week. That's also there's no charge for that service. None of the services that we offer have a charge. I work for the state of Alaska, and this is part of what we offer our community as our services. So I just can't stress that enough. Next slide, please. So tips to employers. I have a copy of this on your tables as well. Feel free to either take a picture of it if you want to be able to access those links later, or just grab it and take it with you if there's any left on the table. The first one is interviewing candidates with disabilities. I know that can be intimidating because there's so many rules about what you can ask and what you can't ask. And what we have found is that not addressing it is not helpful, right? Like the mystery is in the secrecy, and then when you don't know what's going on, you assume the worst. And so these tips and tricks might help you feel more comfortable with when you're interviewing candidates with disabilities. What to say, what not to say, what's okay to say, the important information to gather. So I encourage you to check that out. And then disability etiquette is the next one. The third link is for person first and identity first language choices. So this is always evolving. You know, it used to be the politically correct thing was person first. So you wouldn't say, hey, that blind guy. You would say, you know, that guy who's blind, right? Because you address him as a person first. I will tell you that in the last couple of years, what we're learning from the disability community is that just like disabilities, everyone is different. And so in addition to this concept of person first, which is coming from a good place in our hearts, we have to also consider the individuals and what they are most comfortable with. And the feedback that we're getting is a lot of individuals in the disability culture really value their disability as part of what makes them them. And so the message that they're trying to get out is don't be afraid to say the person in the wheelchair. Don't be afraid to talk about the wheelchair. Don't be afraid to talk about that they're blind or that they're deaf. That's a huge part of their culture. And so this is a neat article because it talks about person first versus identity first, and that it's okay to have somebody identify as their disability being a major part of their life. That's their culture, and there's nothing wrong with that. So that's a great article as well. Next slide, please. So these are our statewide best offices. I highlighted the Fairbanks office. That's the one that I work at, but you could certainly reach out to any of these offices or pass these numbers on to your colleagues in different parts of the state if you think they might benefit from reaching out to any of those offices. The process to work with the Business Engagement Services team is super simple. Here's what it looks like. You take my business card, you call me and say, Lisa, I work with this company, we have some vacancies. Do you have anybody that would be appropriate for this position? I reach out to my colleagues that I work with. I gather information from you about your work values, schedule, pay, minimum education requirements, job skills, physical attributes of the job, work environment. Is it a loud environment? Is it quiet? Is it bright? Is it dim? I get all this information from you. I share it with my colleagues, and then within just a few days, they send me names of people who meet all your minimum qualifications. Now, I will tell you, our numbers have been low, I'm sure as a result of COVID, just like people are having trouble keeping employees. So what used to be, within a few days, I would have a list of people to send an employer. We're not finding that quite as much. And so I encourage you to not think that DVR will solve all your hiring problems, but rather DVR can be another tool in your toolkit. So reach out to us first. If you know that next week you're going to be posting something on Indeed, call me first. Let's see what we've got. We'll talk. I'll reach out to my colleagues, and if I get a couple of names of qualified employers or qualified employees, I could save you guys a lot of time and trouble with having to post on Indeed and interview a bunch of people. So that's what that process looks like. Another option would be to consider a work experience. I talked about this a little bit in the beginning. A work experience is a 120-hour program. The candidate would not be an employee of yours. They would be kind of like a volunteer, but you would treat them like an employee. They would have a regular schedule. They would have a regular list of job duties that they're expected to learn. And we pay the employee a stipend during this time. The employee is also covered under the state of Alaska liability insurance. Heaven forbid there was an accident on the job, we would handle that as well. At the end of the 3 weeks, well, let me back up. During the 3 weeks, we have very close communication with each other as often as needed about how is the employee doing or the candidate doing, what are they doing well at, what do they need to improve on, what assistive technology might they need or accommodations, and I'm right there with you every step of the way. At the end of that 3 weeks, if it worked out well and you want to hire that employee, great. At the end of that 3 weeks, if it's not a good fit, that's also okay. You say, Lisa, this was not a good fit, and here's why. Here's what I need this candidate to improve upon for them to be eligible for this position in the future. I take that information, the employee, and I work on those things, and then sometime in the future, we try again. So a work experience is one of the things I'm most excited about because it gives employers an opportunity to try our candidates, try hiring an Alaskan with a disability, and so often you will find that it's your, well, that's 99 times. So often you will find that it's your, what you think you know about a particular disability that makes you uncomfortable with hiring the person. And so I just encourage you to give me a call and let's see if we can try some work experiences. Next slide, please. So if nothing else, I hope you can take away these 2 main points of today's presentation. First, Alaskans with disabilities do not need to navigate alone to manage their disabilities while trying to find a job, keep a job, or advance in their employment. DVR can help these people every step of the way. Number 2, we can all reduce our hiring and retention challenges by having a more inclusive, diverse, and welcoming workforce, by including individuals with disabilities in your hiring pool on purpose, right? Making sure that that happens. You're opening up a world of potential employment candidates that you haven't had access to before. So we create this inclusivity by focusing on a job seeker's abilities, not their disabilities. Also, if you're interested in having a windmills presentation at your office, or if you'd like to participate in JobX, or if you're interested in learning more about DVR's work experiences, please contact me. These services are all offered at DVR and are no cost to you or other community members, and they benefit both you and the job seeker greatly. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for me today? Rebecca. That's a great question. In case anybody couldn't hear Rebecca, she was asking about if we've done any research into why our numbers are low. And as it happens, the state has sent out some surveys to current clients, former clients, potential clients, to find out what is holding them back. And there's a number of reasons. A lot of people were eligible for financial assistance that they weren't available or eligible for before, and so their motivation to work was a little bit less because they were able to meet some of their financial needs without working. Some of them were desperately afraid of COVID. You know, a lot of individuals that we work with have compromised immune systems or other health conditions that make it difficult for them to work, and so to add on to that barrier, the risk that they're putting themselves into by getting into the workforce, that was another one. Those are the 2 that stick on the top of my head. Oh, we had a period of time where our offices were closed to the public and everything had to be done via phone or via Zoom. We had some clients that did not have regular access to telephone or to computers, and so this made it difficult for them to participate in services, which is why In spite of the health risks, it was so important for us to open our doors is so that folks that needed to physically come to the office to receive services could do so. Pam, my manager Pam is here today. Am I leaving any out that you can think of? Thank you. I forgot about that one. So for those of you that couldn't hear Pam, she mentioned the other one was people that are caring for ill family members or people that have small children at home that now on a moment's notice can't go to school because somebody in their classroom had COVID and now they have to quarantine for 10 days. This isn't a good time for those folks, right? People that come to DVR come because we're not a mandatory program, it's voluntary. So they come because they want to work. And if they cannot commit to a work schedule because of the community impact of COVID, then now isn't the right time for them. And so I did leave that one out. Thank you, Pam. More questions? Yes.
I don't necessarily have a question with, I haven't experienced the DVR per se, but I do have a special needs daughter. And as a comment, maybe to employers, is that it's a broad spectrum of individuals. I think there's a larger community of special needs people out there who will be realized, connecting with them, sometimes it's really difficult. You know, it's different, methods of communications and drawing lines in. And I've always been impressed with dealing with the special needs community through special Olympics. You never want to discount them. You can look at them, carry on a conversation, and all of a sudden there's a zinger. Oh, I did connect with that individual. So there's a lot of opportunity for really good employees. We were fortunate, our daughter worked for Doug with Midnight Sun Catering. She worked for him for 9 years, and it was a great experience. Went through the whole interview process. He had expectations that she learned a lot of really tough stuff. She did take the past year off because of COVID. She's been vaccinated, and she's now working back on getting a job. There's a huge opportunity, and I think it's important for everybody to have a job and a sense of value. So thanks for doing it.
Thank you for sharing your story. I appreciate it very much. And your story is has so many similarities to nearly every other individual in the disability community in our town. So thank you for sharing your personal story. I appreciate it. Yes. You're absolutely right. I did not come with those statistics prepared today, and so I apologize for that, but we do monitor our clients even after their cases are closed, quarterly and yearly. Pam, do you know for how many years we monitor them? Just 12 months? Okay. And so I don't know what the statistics would be beyond the 12 months. But if you're interested in those numbers, I'm quite certain I can get them to you. I just didn't come with them prepared today. But there have been some studies, and I believe it's on the flyer that talks about employers. It's white and blue. There's 100. Employers, white and blue. Did it! Woo woo! It's on your table there, and it tells you where that study was conducted. It was a university that showed that people with disabilities tended to stay at their places of employment longer. They had greater job satisfaction and more loyalty and stayed at their places of employment longer. And not only that, but people that supported those businesses were more motivated to support those businesses because of the sense of community that they felt when they went in and saw, hey, this employer hires individuals with disabilities. So those are good numbers. And please email me if you'd like to know the actual numbers. I'm happy to get them to you. Yes? Thank you. Yes. Yeah, we call those invisible disabilities, and you're absolutely right. And also some of the things you were mentioning, we call those barriers to employment. They may not be a disability, but they are most certainly a barrier to employment. And a lot of our clients come to us not only with disabilities, but also other barriers to employment. They can't find childcare. They have a legal history. They can't drive for one reason or another. All of these things are barriers, even though they're not disability related. And I know that there's other programs in town that work with people that have other barriers beyond just disabilities. And the GILA program, did I say that right? GILA is one of them. We also have the MAST program, which is Mature Alaskans Seeking something. And so that's for our mature Alaskans, because unfortunately, less and less people can retire and stop working at 55 or 65 these days. They need to keep working, and so there's challenges that our older population is facing, and so that's a great program for those folks. Yes, agreed. There's so many people looking for work right now, and there's so many people that need workers right now. It's just such a weird thing to see, and how come we can't connect these people? I don't quite know what's happening, but we're going to work together as a team. We're going to collaborate, and we're going to figure it out. I'm good, yeah. Do you want me to double check for more questions or pass it off? Okay, we need to wrap it up. I'm a talker, so thank you guys very much.
We're going to work on our hand signals when it's time to, because I know we do always try to get people back to your office for that next meeting, which is always coming sooner than we think. Okay, so I will just say again, thank you to Lisa, because I know, like she said, there are many people looking for work and many people who need employees. So hopefully this is opening another door and another tool in the tool chest for everyone to find those great people. So thank you for that. Now it's time for the chamber pot. If your ticket number is called, please be sure to tell us the name of your business or organization. Your odds have been very good these last couple of weeks, so I'm just going to put in a plug there for next week. You can all get in on this action. All right, so the first prize we have is a Kubota bundle from Equipment Source, Inc., and that goes to ticket number 599291. 291 are the last three. All right. All right, Chris. And then the next prize we have is coffee and a coffee mug from North Pole Coffee Roasting Company, and that goes to the last three digits, 265. 265. All right, Colleen, thank you. And today's 50/50 amount is $20, and that goes to the last three digits, 139. All right. And Kathleen, all right. Well, so thank you to everyone for participating today. We hope to see you all back here next Tuesday, which is when we'll hear the State of UAF presentation from Chancellor Dan White. I suspect he may have a few of his famous scarves on offer, maybe some face masks, so you'll definitely want to come back for that. So thanks for being here today, and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday.